Broadcasting live from the ESPN Madison studio, this is your Metro Kia of Madison Sports Center.
How's it going, Madison? This is Krissy Birdsall with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Celebrations Entertainment. Complete event services for weddings, corporate events, nonprofit events, outdoor movies, casino nights, and much more. Go to celebrationsentertainment.com to get started today. The Wisconsin men's basketball team is rolling as they won their fifth straight game last night, a 94-75 win over Illinois. The number 11 Badgers now turn to Saturday as they get ready to face the Oregon Ducks. That game will be at the Kohl Center, 11 a.m. tip time over on Fox. And tomorrow, Badgers forward Nolan Winter will join the Jump Around to break down Wisconsin's latest win streak. Tune into the Jump Around Thursday at 12:30 p.m. on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. The Milwaukee Bucks are gearing up for their first game since the NBA All-Star break as they get set to take on the LA Clippers. No word yet on whether Giannis will return to the lineup tomorrow as he has been out since February 3rd to manage a calf strain injury. The Bucks are currently favored by 1.5 points according to ESPN Bet. Bucks Clippers tips off tomorrow at 7 p.m. with coverage starting at 6:30 right here on Madison's home of the Bucks.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or visit metrokiaofmadison.com. Broadcasting live from the Everlight Solar Studio, this is your Metro Kia of Madison Sports Center.
How's it going, Madison? This is Krissy Birdsall with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Zimbrick Honda's presentation of Prep Mania. Coverage of the girls' basketball playoffs begins this weekend with the regional semifinal Friday night, Delvin Darien at Monona Grove, and the regional final Saturday night featuring the winner of Friday's game. Prep Mania postseason on 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball gears up for a big matchup Sunday against number 8 Michigan State. The number 11 Badgers, currently at 22-6, they sit 2 games back from first place in the Big Ten. Yesterday, Badgers forward Nolan Winter joined the Jump Around, and here's what he said about the team's mentality entering Sunday's game.
We've had this one circled for a while. Breslin Center is one of the toughest places to play in college basketball, and I think all of us just love that challenge. We went into Mackey knowing that that's one of the toughest places and one of the tougher teams when they're at home, and we went in there just looking forward to it, playing with joy, having fun there, just executing what we do, and knowing that if we can do that to our fullest potential, then we can beat anyone.
Sunday's tip-off between the Badgers and Spartans is at 12:30, nationally televised on CBS.
Metro Kia of Madison, Madison's trusted Kia dealer. Stop into Metro Kia on the east side of Madison or metrokiaofmadison.com.
Just about ready to kick off from Camp Randall Stadium in Barry Alvarez Field. Bayport leading 19-0 over Muskego. The third member of our broadcast team, Krissy Birdsall, down on the field. Let's check in with her. Krissy?
Thanks, guys. And for Bayport, they were able to dial it up on offense. And if you're curious who's running the plays, well, it's no other than head coach Steven Jorgensen's dad. His dad joined the staff this year after the coaching change. And at Bayport, it's a family affair. Both the dad and the brother assistant coaches on the team. Jorgensen said that him and his brother back in the day used to be water boys for his dad at Oshkosh North, then played for him at Kimberly and eventually coached with him at Fond du Lac before eventually coming over to Bayport. He said during practices and throughout the season, it's gotten competitive and at times maybe a little bit heated, but they love being able to do it as a family. Now, in terms of calling the plays, Steve Jorgensen said, I'll let my dad do anything because you would be dumb not to. And so far, it's working pretty well for Bayport as they lead 19-0. Send it back up to you, Gabe and Mike.
19-0 Bayport, 6:40 to go. Division I state championship game in the third quarter. Gabe Knights and Mike Padol at Camp Randall Stadium, but let's send it down to Barry Alvarez Field to the third member of our broadcast team, Krissy Birdsall.
Thanks, guys. And coming out of the halftime, Muskego looked like they had a bit of fire coming into them. And part of the reason why might be some cards that the youth football team gave to them prior to that match. Yesterday, the team and the youth team had a dinner in Milwaukee where the high school players signed autographs, and then the kids wrote cards to the players to give them words of encouragement. According to Ken Krause, he said every kid on the team had about 25 to 30 letters. He also said that there's a big connection between the youth program and the high school program. So Muskego going to be battling for a lot here in these last 2 quarters, especially for that youth program. Sending it back up to you guys.
Before this series gets underway, we're going to do a quick hit to Krissy Birdsall on the sideline.
Thanks, guys. And for Lomira, they seem pretty pumped up on the sideline to get that turnover. But going into this week, they had a little bit of extra motivation. Now the team goes out for weekly wings every week at Schmitty's Old Bar and Grill up in near Lomira. And this week, an anonymous donor paid for their entire meal. They said that they were so grateful for that opportunity. They're going to want to be winning, not only for that gold ball, but maybe for some extra wings as well.
Well, if they want to break the wings up here to us, we'll take them.
That sounds outstanding right now. Thank you, Krissy Birdsall, our sideline reporter. Welcome back to Camp Randall Stadium, the Division VI state championship game between Grantsburg and Lomira. The Lions of Lomira have a 13-7 lead over the Pirates. We are just about set for the second half kickoff. Matt Yazel joined by Evan with Towson here in the booth, but we're going to send it to our sideline reporter, Krissy Birdsall, for a report from halftime.
Thanks, guys. And looking at this first half, both of the fan bases doing a really great job pumping up their fans, doing what they need to do. For Grantsburg, that almost wasn't the case. See, they were supposed to leave at 6 a.m. It's about a 5-hour drive to get down to Madison. But due to the weather and some bus delays, they didn't leave until almost 7 o'clock, and it took them 6 hours to get down here. I spoke with a couple of fans at halftime, and they said that they're just happy to be able to get here on time and cheer on the Grantsburg Pirates as they look to come back and get their first championship in state history. Sending it back up to you guys.
On any given Saturday, under the roar of restless fans, the crowd erupts as Wisconsin's football team takes the field. Leading the charge is the University Spirit Squad, led by the school's mascot, Bucky Badger.
There's nothing like riding the Bucky wagon down that tunnel at Camp Randall out into the field, and the cheerleaders jump off, and you jump off, and you're jumping around in the crowd.
Fox 6 anchor and reporter Ted Perry once donned the cardinal and white under the guise of Bucky Badger, the face and mascot of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. It was a term that was short-lived, about 6 months to be precise.
She said, I heard a very disturbing rumor. Please, please, please tell me that's not true.
This is Unmasked, the story behind Bucky Badger. Ted Perry's introduction to Bucky was when he was in high school, visiting his brother at a Wisconsin football game.
And I said, oh my, I want to be a part of this. I would have never been able to make it down there on the field. So I started scanning around at other options, and I saw Bucky.
That introduction stuck with Ted when he came to the University of Wisconsin and prompted him to try out for Bucky that spring semester.
I made it. Me and another guy made it. There were just two guys who made it. And I was so happy. I was walking down Dayton Avenue back to my dorm at Whitty Hall, and I think my feet were this high above the ground. I was just so elated when they told me I was Bucky.
Ted jumped into his role right away in the summertime with a few appearances and parades, but once the fall semester began, that is when things started to really heat up.
I remember doing volleyball and hockey and football. I did a couple games as football before the incident.
It was about 6 months into his time under the mask, and on a beautiful fall October day where Wisconsin was taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes.
At halftime, the etiquette is you bring the other mascot, in this case, Herky Hawkeye from the University of Iowa, into a room which was off the locker room. It was kind of like a spare utility room. It might have been a janitor's closet for all I know. And the etiquette is you get him or her some water, and you shed your outfits, and you make mascot small talk. Now it's time for the second half to begin, and the Badger players are running down the tunnel, and he started to get dressed, and I started to get dressed. He goes, hold on. Can I try that on? I go, what, try mine on? He goes, yeah. So I said, yeah, try it on if you want. And I tried on his on. And I go, okay, we should go. And he goes, you want to go out there? You go over to the Iowa side. I'll go to the Wisconsin side, and we'll meet back here in the fourth quarter. My gut said, this is a horrible idea. And because it was such a horrible idea, my brain said, oh, we absolutely have to do this. And so, yeah, we went out there. We had the mascot code of don't screw me over here. Don't start giving the finger. Don't go Michael Jackson and grab your crotch. Don't do anything that would embarrass our respective schools, and we respected that. So here I am on the Iowa side. I'm loving life. I'm cheering the Iowa fans. His girlfriend's an Iowa cheerleader. She came up and pinched my butt and said, oh, I missed you. And, she didn't realize I'm like, I'm not who you think I am. So she's like, what is going on? I said, he'll explain later. He's over as Bucky. He's on the Wisconsin side. And it just so happens that's the day they were going to take the picture for the yearbook for Wisconsin. And one of the cheerleaders said to him, why do you seem so short? Because he was a couple inches shorter than me. And he goes, because I'm not Ted. I'm not Bucky. That guy over there is Bucky, and we just switched uniforms. He thought it was a hoot. Well, the cheerleaders found this to be a major act of defiance and betrayal. You might have thought I had given nuclear secrets to the Soviets because I was treated like, I can't believe you did that. So we went back, we switched in the fourth quarter, and I came out as Bucky in the fourth quarter. I told some friends about it that night. They thought it was funny. And on Monday, you have to bring Bucky back into the athletic department so they can quote unquote dry clean him. And I wanted to get my assignment for the next week because I was supposed to go to Purdue. I never made it to West Lafayette, Indiana, though, Krissy, because the secretary was a very nice woman named Pat Jacobson. I'll always remember her name. She was very sweet. She came out of the office and she said, I heard a very disturbing rumor that you switch uniforms with the Iowa mascot on Saturday. Please, please, please tell me that's not true. And I kind of laughed and I said, no, we did for a quarter. It was no big deal. And she said, hold on. And she went back into Elroy's office and she came out. She goes, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but Elroy says he can't have that behavior and that you're fired. And I said, what? She goes, you'll no longer be doing anything Bucky related. You're just give this the uniform and you're done. It's like, wow. And so I was walking back, and remember how I was walking back on Dayton Avenue 6 months earlier and my feet were this high off the ground? I was now walking back like Charlie Brown coming back from the Christmas tree lot. I was embarrassed. And my friends were like, it's not that big a deal, man. And one of them knew a writer for the Badger Herald, and he told him that story. And that guy called me and said, is this really true? So he wrote a story. It got picked up by the local news. It got picked up by a newspaper in Iowa. And that was kind of it. And it's a story I tell from time to time.
Now, almost 40 years later, I asked Ted if he had any regrets about his time as Bucky.
I'll be honest with you, no. I mean, I kind of get more mileage out of being the guy that got fired as Bucky. This is the only thing I've ever been fired from. So I can look back with it and go, if that's the one job I've been fired from, that's okay. I will say this, though. If there is a legacy that comes from this, is that there's more than one Bucky now. There are like 7 Buckys because all the duties fell to this other guy. So I think they converted a cheerleader to Bucky that year. And then after that, they started to have more Buckys, just backup Buckys, I guess. Yeah, I guess if somebody says, hey, you want to switch roles, think it through first before you say yes.